What's up, everybody? Welcome to Philly with John Marks on PHLY. As always, sponsored by BetParx. NBA draft is in the books. The Phillies get swept. We'll talk about it. The shout out to everybody watching this morning live on YouTube, our 8 a.m.ers. Live in the chat. Remember, you can watch the show live every morning at 8 a.m., 8 to 9 a.m. But if you can't catch it live, you can always go back, watch it whenever you want to. Hell, you can watch the show from last September, if you want to. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, audio-only podcast if you don't get a chance to watch it. But you can listen to it. I prefer audio. I listen to a lot of audio as I'm doing stuff around the house and doing whatever else. Wherever you get your podcasts, just subscribe. Philly with John Marks. Give us a nice 5-star review. That is greatly appreciated. Philly's coming up in a second. I do want to mention right from the top of the show, because the NHL draft is tonight. And we will be having a draft party live at Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. That's right. Broad Street Hockey, PHLY Flyers, Bill, Charlie, everybody else that's involved in it. We will be, so it's going to be great draft coverage, but also a draft party. So if you're a Flyers fan, get on down. Chickies and Pete's, South Philadelphia, 7 p.m. There you go. And I think they have a show. Maybe it's at noon live, and then it's 7 a.m. as well as you get going in the draft. Flyers have 6 picks in the first 2 rounds, 3 in the first, 3 in the second. I was just watching our own Bill Matz on Good Day Philadelphia. They needed a little hockey fix, Flyers fix, and he talked about some of the players that potentially could be going to the Flyers at number 6. We'll mention that later on in the show. But again, Bernie Perrant will be down tonight. He'll be the special guest and the dignitary at Chickies and Pete's in South Philadelphia. So get on down there. I know that it's always a great crowd, so it's probably going to be packed, and I know it's going to be a lot of fun. Black Gritty also will be making an appearance on the program. All right, Tyler confirms it. So noon, they get you set for the draft. Live show at noon, PHLY Flyers, and then the draft party is at 7 o'clock. Bernie Perrant and Black Gritty, just underneath Bernie Perrant in the guest list. But BG told me he was headed down there tonight. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So the Sixers draft a player, and I'm going to be completely honest, as I always am. I don't do fake shows. Johni Broome. And I still write it phonetically because before they drafted him last night, I would have said Johni Broome. It's like a lot of these players. I don't watch a ton of college basketball. I'm learning about them in the tournament or after they're drafted into the NBA. But hey, listen, he was an accomplished college player, SEC Player of the Year. Like he's got a skill set where he could potentially come in and be a rotational player that can maybe relieve Joel Embiid, maybe play alongside Joel Embiid, although I don't know how many minutes you could do that. But still, it's like you're drafting in the second round, albeit at the top of the second round. You're hoping to get a guy that can play. I mean, there are plenty of players in the NBA that were second-round draft picks that are rotational players, that are contributors, that are great players. I mean, my 2 second-round picks from the Sixers that I would look back on are Kyle Korver and Lou Williams, which were very close to each other as far as when they were drafted. And you look at the career that they had. So I don't go into drafts and say, like, oh, well, it's a second-round draft pick. No, you're right. They could totally have no impact and never even play. But you also could get really, really good player that could help you for many years to come. And honestly, with Daryl Morey, yeah, Lou Williams was the 45th overall pick. He was out of high school in Georgia, who had slid a little bit. So I look at what the 76ers did last night and then they did on Thursday night. I honestly, of all the things with Daryl Morey, I trust the draft process with him. Like, he is glass half empty with Daryl Morey. He is a good GM. He's a good GM. Glass half full, he's in the upper echelon. I don't know if I'm a glass half full Daryl Morey guy, but he's also not incompetent and a boob. So, and we talked about it yesterday. If you didn't catch it, I'm a fan of VJ Edgecombe. I got a little bit frightened when Danny Ainge took Ace Bailey. There was a story that came out that I saw late last night on ESPN.com that there was one team in the top 5 that was told, do not draft Ace Bailey or we will not report. I believe that team would be the 76ers because they weren't taking them at 1 or 2. At 4, who was even picking behind him at 4? I'm blanking right now. And 5 was the Jazz. If they told him, hey, Jazz, don't pick them, they picked them. So to me, it's the 76ers. Yeah, it would have been tough for me not to say, you know what, out of spite, I'm going to draft him anyway. So screw you. You're not going to tell me we can't draft him. You're not going to report. Okay, then you're not going to be in the NBA. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. He's telling you everything that you need to know about him. If he's saying he wouldn't report, if that's true. If that's true. So Charlotte picked 5th. Yeah, so Charlotte picked 4th, and then Utah picked 5th. So it makes sense that it would be the 76ers because there was a lot of buzz about the Sixers, and they wanted a promise, and they wouldn't promise them, and everything else. So regardless, VJ Edgecombe, very excited. Anything that I see where there's any type of downplaying the type of player that he is, I'm not having it. I'm not. This kid is as talented as anybody in the draft. He has the mentality, the physicality, the defensive prowess. He's got the right fit to play in Philadelphia. I can tell you this, Ace Bailey does not. He is not the right fit to play in Philadelphia. VJ Edgecombe is. You love his story. You love the fact that he wants to play defense. You love the fact that, and did I keep the quote up here that he said after the game? He said more or less, it's not about me. I'm last. When I'm on the floor, it's about me the least. It's about everybody else. He wants to be a point guard. I think he can play off the ball as a combo guard. I mean, really, there's huge upside, and I think there's a high floor because he's so laser focused on being great. So I'm excited. I can't wait to see him on the floor next to Maxey. It makes you feel good. I'm not going to talk about Joel Embiid because then that's where I start not feeling good about things. So VJ Edgecombe, thumbs up. Johni Broome, he's a lefty, 6'9". He can shoot the 3 a little bit. He can rebound. It's a solid pick, and we'll have to see him develop from there. But all in all, thumbs up 76ers draft. I don't blame them for not taking Ace Bailey one friggin' lickety-split bit. And now we see. Now we see what happens from here. Now we see, can they put together a year where Joel Embiid stays healthy and everybody kind of stays healthy and there's some type of cohesion and there's chemistry and everybody's pulling in the same direction. There's not a week into the season. I said I wouldn't talk about Joel Embiid. There's not a week into the season where Tyrese Maxey has to call a team meeting and call out Joel Embiid for being late to everything. And then it gets leaked to the media because the team probably feels like what else can we do at this point other than try to motivate him like that? And then he goes into a cocoon for a couple weeks with personal issues because he was so butthurt over that getting leaked out. And then he's searching for the source of the leak and everything else. Positive John, let's talk about VJ Edgecombe. So I'm excited. I really, really am. So thumbs up on the draft for the 76ers. This portion of the program brought to you by GLAT Hair Restoration, GLATHairMM.com, 610-980-4000. You can text them actually, 610-980-4000 or GLAT Hair, GLAT Hair, MM.com. Tyler Zulli was working with Anthony yesterday, so I'd like to hear his reaction on the 76ers draft. Tyler, good morning.
Good morning, John. Yeah, I think, Edgecombe, we talked about it right before as we were getting off the air on Wednesday, and you asked me what were my thoughts, and I said I think Edgecombe is going to be the pick. Now, whether that meant that you like the pick or you don't like the pick, that was kind of aside from the point. I think that was what that was the player the Sixers had zoned in on, and Daryl Morey brought it up. He said there was 6, and then there was 4. And then they ended up settling on, I shouldn't use the word settling because it's the 3rd overall pick. They ended up deciding that Edgecombe's the guy. The things that you love about Edgecombe are the things that are going to, that are like inherently Philly sports fans' traits. High motor, hard worker, dedicated to the game, seems like a team guy. Like all of those things that you love about him are inherently Philadelphia sports fans' traits. Oh yeah, and he likes to dunk on people's heads, right? So like, the athleticism's there, the skill set's there. I don't know what his role is going to be in year one, especially early. Like Do they go more of him and Maxey together? Do they go more of him and McCain together? Is it more him and Grimes? Like, I'd be interested to see what the backcourt pairing is going to look like. I would imagine the starting backcourt is going to be Maxey and McCain, with Grimes and Edgecombe coming off the bench. I would be really interested to see what the role for him is going to be early, because they do have an abundance of guards and probably are still a little bit thin on larger wings and on bigs. And that's probably why they went with Broome last night. I have no inside information. I truly believe that the player that got picked right before them was going to be the pick. I genuinely think they were going to take Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton, and he went right before them at 34. So they pivoted to Johni Broome, and I know we'll talk more about him later, but overall I give it like a B, because I like the Edgecombe pick. I'm leery on the Broome pick.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to talk about him later. If you have a comment on him right now, I'm not going to. We got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Really, I guess the only thing is, like, does he translate to the NBA? Because the numbers are there: 19 points a game, 2-time All SEC first team, SEC second team 1 year, like.
Also a fifth-year player, so he's experienced. Right. Not a 19-year-old coming out.
Like, numerically speaking, accolades speaking, had a great college career and was a really, really, really good college player. 19 points a game is nothing to scoff at. Poor free throw shooter. Does he get my question is, like, he's a good defender, but he's a good, like, interior defender. If he has to step out and defend with bigs who can stretch, does that become an issue? My question is, can he stretch himself? So I think the numerically speaking, very good player, very good college player. My question is, how does he translate to the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, he at the combine, he didn't measure well. Like, he had some of the worst. I think it was vertical.
The vertical is going to stand out to a lot of people.
You know what he looks like, Tyler? Honestly, he looks like an old school power forward. He looks like I'm not trying to say skill wise, but like Charles Oakley, Anthony Mason. Obviously, almost anybody that plays now has to shoot the three. Otherwise, unless you're like a 7'4" center, that's just not going to shoot it. So, and he's done that. So you hope that he can serve a role with this team. But yeah, like, would I be surprised if he doesn't pan out? Not at all. Would I be surprised if he was a rotational player on this team? No, like that's definitely possible. You know what you see, and they were talking about this last night on the broadcast. He's a high character guy. I think Kyle and Kyle was talking about this last night too after the pick with the Sixers guys. He's a high character guy. He's 5-year senior. He played at Moorhead. He earned a transfer. He went to another successful program. And it seems like they're targeting these guys. It's like, you know what? We need high character guys that want to be here and they want to work hard and everything else. So that's great. He's got to be able to play. So we'll find out.
And it's very evident based on what they went through last year, based on probably the last 4 players, or maybe even the last 5 players, if you included Dembona, like 5 of the last players that they've drafted, Maxey, McCain, Bona, and these 2 guys, they have circled players with high motors and high character traits. And guys that want to work hard. And all 5 of those guys, including Bona, who you brought it up earlier, like, what is he? I still don't know. But he's a worker. He's a guy who's going to get after it. The Sixers have clearly stated they want to change the culture in the locker room a little bit. And even if it is with younger players, they want guys who want to be there.
Yeah, and you mentioned the kid from Creighton. He's another experienced – he was a senior, right, at Creighton. So he's another guy that had a long college career and, they feel like is mature and ready to add to the team. So, what was the other thing? Because we got to talk about the Phillies. Pat Egan's going to be coming up in a couple minutes. So like you had mentioned the guards, which is like you get excited when you talk about the 4 guards that they have if they do re-sign Grimes. You also wonder, like, I don't know if these guys are all going to be playing together going forward, because as everybody knows, they are thin when you're talking about wings. And McCain flashed a really, really good skill set. And I just don't know if he meshes with the rest of the team, right? Like, can him and Maxey, if VJ Edgecombe's your starting point guard, what's the role for McCain and for Maxey? If Maxey's one of your best players, he's got to play. Can all 3 of them be on the court at the same time? So you may see, and then you have Grimes as well. So you may see, I don't know, maybe McCain isn't here. past the season, or he comes back out and he looks great. Now you do have a trade piece you can possibly use.
Yeah,
to
I'm
get
also
one of these
curious.
rings.
I'm also curious into seeing is there some sign and trade facilitated with Quentin Grimes? That could also, and they moved Caleb Martin for Quentin Grimes. They liked him. He was high volume because he had to be, obviously, last year with all of the injuries and everything. But is there a facilitation of a sign and trade? It's potential. They do have a plethora of wings, or a plethora of guards, excuse me. And who's gonna be the starting wing / 4 this year for the team? Is Paul George? Are they going to play small and it's Paul George? Are they going to go is Yabusele back and he's starting at the 4? I don't know the answer to that question yet. Obviously, we'll know a little bit more once free agency starts. But I do think the one thing that is still a little bit concerning, and it's probably why they drafted Broome, is they are undersized. There's no doubt about it.
Yep.
They're undersized.
Yep. Phillies get swept. I went to my phone here because I had one of the Phillies Instagram accounts put up something that I found amazing. Yeah, Nick Nurse is good. It's like, remember the Jay Wright teams when they had Mike Nardi and they had 4 guards and they would literally play 4 guards and like Dante Cunningham. It would work until you got to a team that had size, and then if you're not hitting your threes, you're in trouble.
Sure.
But so Phillies swept in Houston. They scored just 1 run in the entire series, man. I mean, Jesus, it's almost impossible. They also gave up just 5 runs in all 3 games. So the Phillies are just the 10th team ever to be swept in a series despite allowing no more than 5 runs. Ever. You have Jesus, man. And I remember those St. Louis Browns teams. Their offense was not very good.
Oh yeah, I was in the stands for some of those games.
Yeah, Skeeter McLovin was he pitched 575 innings that year, and the ERA was below.
Oil Can Boyd.
Yeah. Listen, it's a Friday in late June, brother. We talked before the series. I didn't feel great about this series. They seem to not play well against the Astros, and the Astros have legit starting pitching. I know we had said game 2 of the series was the game you have to win.
You had to get to that guy.
And they wasted it. But like yesterday, I wasn't surprised. Like they're all here's one thing I know. They need an impact bat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they're getting it. I don't know where he's playing, but they seem like they're a bat away from. They need a bat, man. They do. They need a power bat. They need a guy that can, because you look at right now, you have Schwarber. Oh, we know Schwarber's a big power hitter. Bryce Harper's next on the team in home runs with 9 home runs.
Yep. Nobody on pace for 20 other than Schwarber. Listen, I've identified a guy, and it's not like I've identified. It's just a guy that I've been looking at for a while now, and he was in trade talks last year with them. Like, they're going to overpay for a guy who currently right now is hitting 208 with a 285 on base percentage because he has 19 home runs. Like, I would not be stunned whatsoever if the Phillies end up trading for Taylor Ward. And like, you're going to look at the numbers and go, 19 home runs is great. Swings and misses a lot. He's on pace for like 175 strikeouts.
Yeah.
And he's hitting 208. But like, they need pop in the lineup. And that may just be something they have to eat, is that he's going to strike out a lot because he's going to hit 30 home runs this year.
Right. And you need to be able to use him correctly, right? Knowing that it's going to be a lot of bust when there's not a boom. God, he just, because like last year they traded for Austin Hayes and he was supposed to be a more complete player. He had the kidney issue or whatever the hell was going on with him. And he gave you nothing. He really did. He gave you nothing. So outside of the bullpen, but Byron Buxton's a name that's out there. Outside of the bullpen, which we know they need, I just like, they're going to have to, like, they need a center fielder. They're probably going to have to include Rojas in the trade in addition to a prospect or so. So maybe are you trading Mick Abel at the trade deadline because you need to get an impact player?
I don't think Mick Abel's untouchable, but I also think that Mick Abel, like, he's made what, 6 starts now, I think. And I would say 3 were good, 3 were okay.
And he's went in the wrong direction since he started.
He's been seen a little bit more. And the thing with him is most of his runs given up have come off the solo home runs. And you can live with that as long as you're, limiting damage the rest of the way. I know we have the same conversation with Aaron Nola. I get it. Abel throws much harder. So a little bit different. But I'm not sitting here and telling you like he's untradeable. If the right trade package comes through and they want McAbel, yeah, sure, you make the move.
Right.
But I think it's a high price in return.
Yeah, I mean, it's not for a rental unless the rental you're getting is. But Carlos Beltran was traded he was a rental, and they actually gave up Zack Wheeler in that trade, which was a great trade for the Mets. It was also Carlos Beltran, so you were getting an MVP type player, right? Sure. So like they were willing to bite the bullet to do that. I don't know who's out there that's an MVP type player, because if you get an opportunity to get that type of a player at the trade deadline for Mick Abel, bye Mick. You got to think about doing it. The window to win's now, right now. So,
yeah, and I think that we've talked about this before. They're in probably for the first time in a long time where they have a handful of guys in their minor league system that they believe can be major league players across different levels, right? And that never seems to be the case with the Phillies. It's always like, well, they're the 27th ranked prospects pool in baseball. And I'm not sitting here telling you they're top 5, but they're like 15th now, which is a massive step in the right direction.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, no,
for this organization. So I don't think Dave Dombrowski's going to pearl clutch, but I do think he's going to be very select. I think the phrase I used the other day was selective aggression.
Yeah, he's got, like, you're not trading J.P. Crawford. You're holding on to him unless you're getting a top player in return. They actually have prospects where they're big prospects. Justin Crawford also has taken a huge step forward this year as far as how the rest of the league is going to look at him.
Yep.
So, no, you have real prospects. You can trade them. They're not untouchable, but they're not going for Estevez or another closer or something like that. Maybe Miller, but I still wouldn't do that.
Justin Crawford, I believe Justin Crawford's an everyday outfielder. I know the bat profile thing where like he hits the ball on the ground too much and people are worried about that, but he's hit everywhere he's gone.
He's also 21.
So until he proves otherwise, I'm playing under the pretense that he's just hitting.
Hey, hit a home run earlier this week. All right, coming up, Pat Egan breaks it all down. Phillies, his thoughts on the draft as well. That is coming up next. Our old buddy Pegan on Philly with John Marks. Back after this, 2-2. Don't go anywhere. All right. Let's put the Puger voice on for this one. Hey, everybody. Let's talk about GLAT Hair Restoration. GLATHairMM.com. Or you can call them, 610-980-4000. No, but for real, if you're losing your hair, and it's crazy because the amount of people when I see them that will actually mention, and it actually makes me feel good because they're not worried about like, are they going to offend me or like it's like awkward to say something. No, I've been talking about GLAT Hair for like the better part of 10 years. And how I do have hair problems, but if you have a hair problem, you're thinning, you're shedding, you're balding, hair restoration, innovation, vitamin supplementation, the TED treatment. There's also a couple of recent new advances that are out there that the results, and I haven't actually had this done, which I want to, but like the results apparently are amazing. GLATHairMM.com, 30 plus years of experience in hair. You don't go to some Johnny come lately place that's saying like, hey, look, we're blowing up. GLAT Hair Restoration, experts in the industry, their hair team. I trust them. And I've known them for going on 15 years now. Give them a call. You can actually text them right now, 610-980-4000. 610-980-4000. Text them and just say, hey, heard John talking about you guys had some questions. Thinning, balding, shedding, whatever it is. If you're worried about your hair, GLATHairMM.com, 610-980-4000. Hoo-ah. All right. Oh, man, let's talk about the BetParx Sportsbook. Yeah, listen, I'm just saying, I've been doing all right in my read. Now, yesterday I threw out there a Schwarber home run because I was trying to spice it up, but I had the under in the game, and I liked Houston to win it as well. So not feeling good about that, but like now what do we got? All right, feeling good about the team, huh? You'll drive yourself crazy day to day watching the Phillies, but they're down in Atlanta. All right, Mick Abel's on the mound. So look at it. Mick Abel, Jesus Luzardo, and then on Sunday you have Ranger Suarez going, and that's against Spencer Strider. They're the probables. So how do you feel about them? Get to the BetParx app. You can bet on everything. home runs, RBIs, pitching performances, strikeouts, everything else that you want and you need. BetParx Sportsbook is where you want to go. Also, like maybe you want to check out a show that's going on, because we talk about BetParx a lot. And we talk about BetParx Sportsbook. Well, I mean, listen, the Excite Center at Parx Casino is amazing. So it's pretty much close to everywhere in the Philadelphia suburbs, close to Jersey, right? I mean, if you're coming from New York, it's less than an hour from Delaware, right up 95. And the Excite Center has amazing entertainment. Gary Clark Jr. is coming up July 3rd. UB40. This is in September. I got to tell you, I'm legitimately a huge UB40 fan. The Australian Pink Floyd show coming up in September. Kansas. How about Kansas? What's your favorite Kansas tune? And a lot more. Check it out. And like their food, their entertainment, table games, everything else. Tickets are available for everything at ParxCasino.com. That's ParxCasino.com. You must be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Hoo-ah, we are back. All right, very early this morning before we went live here on Philly with John Marks, I got a chance to catch up with Pat Egan. He writes about prospects for ALLPHLY.com. He's a Phillies expert in his own mind, and we talked a little Sixers as well. Here's Pat Egan on the program. Oh, the Phils get swept out of Houston. That's unbelievable. 1.37 ERA for the series, and they lose every game. To discuss, well, you see him all over the place. You may read his stuff on allphly.com. He writes for the Phillies and their prospects, among other things. His name is Pat Egan, and he joins us right now. Pat, how are you, buddy?
I mean, I'd be better if they had won a game, but it's kind of impressive what they did.
It is impressive. I agree with you 100%. They lose 1-0. They lose 2-0. They finally score a run yesterday, and losing 2-1. Starting pitching was great. This offense is really struggling right now. Bryce Harper is injured, but outside of that, you should have enough with highly paid veteran all-star type level guys that just everybody's not hitting at once. Houston also has really good starting pitching as well. Like we've seen it, the pendulum swings. They went 9-1. They went 1-9. They won 5 games. They beat up on the Mets. Now they get swept by the Astros. Welcome to Major League Baseball, Pat Egan.
Exactly. Like, to put this in a perspective, what we just witnessed in this past series was when the Eagles would start out the game and they'd go 3 and out for their their first 2 drives. Like, when you equate the time in an NFL season and in Major League Baseball, that's basically what we witnessed. And that's why I kind of just laugh about the Astros series. Like, you give up 5 runs and you get swept. I'm not going to overreact to it. It's frustrating, but it's also comical at the same time. And that's the luxury of Major League Baseball. 162 game season. You can laugh about series like this.
Yeah. So I saw a stat. I'll give them a shout out. Phillies updates _ Don't forget the underscore on Instagram. They're just the 10th team to be swept despite allowing no more than 5 runs in the entire series. So they're the 10th team ever. They allowed 5 runs in the entire series and they got swept. It's almost impossible to do. Sanchez was great yesterday.
Yeah.
Wheeler, yet another wasted effort from him. Ranger Suarez, it felt like that he was going to have to be perfect. And he gave up a solo home run, God forbid, in the 8th inning. So, all right, so here's my question. All right. At what point do the Phillies say, okay, the Kepler experiment's not working? We brought up Otto Kemp, and he was good to start, but now he's kind of come back down to earth. This team needs a power hitter. This team needs an impact bat, and it's not just waiting for Bryce Harper to come back from injury. This team needs an impact bat. This offense isn't good enough right now. It's really not. So they may win 90 games or 92 games because of their starting pitching. They'll lose in the playoffs because it's an inconsistent offense like we've seen the last couple of years, and their bullpen just isn't good enough. And the bullpen actually was good this series.
Yeah, for me, it's more about the bullpen. And you're right, the bullpen was good this series, but it's more about the bullpen, just being what it is. Like, we know they're not going to be very good for the most part. You need an upgrade there. The lineup can be hit or miss at times if you have the caliber pitching that you got in this past series. Like that's my big takeaway is like you gave up 5 runs in 3 games, and they're kind of carried by their pitching. But to your point about the impact bat, they do need an impact bat. The sad part is you're not going to get one until probably July 30th at the earliest. Dave Dombrowski does not go out there and set a market. He waits and waits and waits and waits and waits. And my biggest problem with the Kepler experiment you talked about was, and we saw this with Romano too, or Romano, where like he'll have a good game, he'll have a good series, and it's like, oh, he's coming out of it. Like, bro, we're in almost July now.
Yeah.
There's no coming out of it. This is what he is. Yeah. You know, he's a Major League Baseball player that will hit 15, maybe 20 home runs, maybe. Like that's Brandon Marsh. So you basically have 2 of those guys. Yeah. You're right. You need an impact.
And I don't honestly, who are you getting? And if I see one more Luis Robert Jr., like, oh, get him. Now his prices come down. He sucks. So unless you're getting him for next to nothing and you're platooning him, is it really an upgrade? And I just can't see the Phillies giving up what it would take to get him, because essentially he's on a contract year because he's got team options for $20 million the next 2 years. Ain't nobody giving him $20 million at about 170 and strike out all the time. So, like, is this where you're using Mick Abel or you're using one of your prospects to say, hey, window's open, we need an impact bat, we need an upgrade in center field, we need a better left fielder, let's go out and let's make that deal. They have the guys, they have the minor league guys. You know this, you follow the minor leagues, you write about the minor leagues. Is this the time to do that, to actually get the impact bat?
Yeah, I mean, I think Mick Abel's the number one blue chip guy that will probably be able to get you that impact bat. Previously, I thought it'd be Mick Abel and, you know, maybe a top 10 prospect. You know, you'd have to package the guy. But with the way that Mick Abel's pitched, he's kind of been so good that he could be the centerpiece, and it's, you know, the 30th ranked prospect in a trade, not necessarily Mick Abel and a bunch of other like decent guys. Right. And the reality is like they don't have room for him next season. That's just the facts. Like they're letting Ranger Suarez walk. You have Aaron Nola. You have your rotation set primarily. You know, if you figure you're gonna put Painter in, by all reports, Painter's better than Abel. So where does Abel fit? And I know that people are falling in love with Abel, but the reality is he's probably your biggest trade chip right now because of the fact that your rotation is locked up. So yeah. I'd like to keep him, but Aaron Nola prevents them from doing that. And if you let Aaron Nola go, then I want to see Suarez back.
Yeah, Tyler hates when I say it, but after every Ranger Suarez start, I come on the next day and I say, congratulations, Aaron Nola fans. Enjoy watching Aaron Nola pitch here for the next couple of years, because that's going to prevent Ranger Suarez from being here going forward. And it's not just about the $25 million that Nola's making, and it's going to be difficult to add payroll because they got to resign Schwarber. More on that in a second. But they don't have a spot for him.
No.
Unless you're trading Nola, he's in this rotation. So, like, Ranger Suarez legitimately, there's no room for him. And they don't have the money to do it. So be happy. All you people out there that bothered Pat and I when we had the conversation earlier in the season, when you were getting on us and threatening me in direct messages, enjoy Aaron Nola, folks. Enjoy him. Congratulations.
I've tweeted it out the past the two Ranger Suarez starts. This is going to be the Phillies version of picking Tobias Harris over Jimmy Butler. Like, you're not going to convince me otherwise. It's not looking good. And I'd love to be wrong. Like, I would love it if Dave Dombrowski went, you know what, pick the wrong guy. Let me trade Nola in the offseason and bring Suarez back. It's not going to happen. And Suarez continuously looks like that dude. And yet they decided to go with the homegrown guy, even though Suarez is homegrown, but they went with like the draft pick and all that. And, you know, the 1A ace, and it's going to cost them. It's just, I'd love to be wrong about it, but so far we haven't been.
So Dave Dombrowski spoke to a reporter for FoxSports.com about Kyle Schwarber, and he said the following. He said, of course you don't want to lose a Kyle Schwarber. He's a unique talent, and he's a quality individual. We don't want to lose him, but I think your responsibility as someone in my job is to make your club better in other ways. I've lost free agent players in the past that we've gone out and been able to do things. Again, not that you want to lose them, but I don't think it's the end of any window or anything. I know from the Philadelphia Phillies, we're in good shape for years to come. That's one of the responsibilities that you try to do, if you can, is to stay in contention despite some players becoming free agents. We have an owner that's very generous with us. We have a hefty payroll in that regard. So even if we lose guys, we normally have the capability to sign someone else. Dave Dombrowski is normally very, very honest when he has conversations about guys. Very matter of fact, like, yeah, I've lost free agents before. We'd love to have Kyle Schwarber back. What it seems like to me, Pat, is they realize if there's someone that comes off the top rope with an offer, maybe a 5-year $150 offer to Kyle Schwarber, I don't know if he's back. What's your read on the situation?
I looked at that quote as Dave Dombrowski kind of jockeying in the media and doing a little negotiating in the media and trying to play hardball, when the reality is the impact that Kyle Schwarber gives you is not just on the field. The locker room dynamic is so real. I'd argue that in all of sports, you need a locker room dynamic to be a cohesive unit in baseball more than any other one. Because you guys are there 162 games a season, and you're there for 6 weeks in spring training. Like these guys are surrounded by each other so much that you need a locker room guy like Kyle Schwarber. Can you find another guy? Sure. But every report we hear is that Kyle Schwarber is the best locker room guy in the world. Oh, and then by the way, he hits 45 to 50 home runs this season. So you combine the two, that's a guy I want. Like, yeah, you're right. You can find another DH and you can sign another DH, but is he going to, be the guy in the dog days of the summer that can bring the group together and say like, hey, don't panic? I mean, remember a couple of years ago, John, when it was like when Gabe Kapler was here, and it was the curveball machine. They made fun of the curveball machine.
Good time.
But then they fired Joe Girardi, I think, or Gabe, whatever it was. They fired somebody, and it was Kyle Schwarber who actually started using the curveball machine. And next thing you know, they're on a World Series trip, and everyone's using a curveball machine, and it was started by Kyle Schwarber. It went from being a joke of a thing to like a bonding experience where all these guys would get together and they use a curveball machine. It's a little thing, but it's big. And that's one of the reasons why they signed him here in the first place, was he was a good locker room guy. So when you combine both things, I don't want to lose that. And honestly, and kind of making it like a full circle thing here. But a couple weeks ago, I'm sitting there watching Schwarber hit home runs going like, man, he would already be signed right now if it wasn't for Aaron freaking Nola. Because I'm looking at $24 million. What's Schwarber going to get? Probably around that, right?
No, I thought, but see, like, and another quote that was in that article was that there was an initial conversation in spring training. We know this, and that's they didn't really negotiate past that. Schwarber is probably looking for a $150. He's saying, like, hang on a second, I can get 5 years, I can get $35 million a year, and the Phillies, like you said, are probably looking at 25 a year for the next 4. And you hope that there's some type of a middle figure that they can agree on. I don't know if that's going to happen. If somebody comes off the top rope, if there's a veteran team that's a playoff team that says we could use Kyle Schwarber, he's very attractive for the reasons you just said off of the field. Oh, and by the way, he's their offense. He's their biggest offensive piece. Like I'll compare it to the Eagles. When you look at the Eagles, you knew that they were going to lose some people after winning the Super Bowl, right? Could I see the Eagles without Milton Williams? Yes. They have other guys that can fill in. He was a rotational defensive tackle. He was very good. Could you see the Eagles without Josh Sweat? Of course you could, right? Could you see the Eagles without Zack Baun? I couldn't, right? He had such an impact on this team. We'll see if he's able to have the future impact like he had in his first and only year with Philadelphia. But like when you look at Kyle Schwarber, I can't see the Phillies next year without Kyle Schwarber. And you can go out, you can spend more money. That doesn't mean you're going to be spending money on a guy that can produce in Philadelphia. Kyle Schwarber has shown there's 2 guys that have more home runs in the last couple of years than Kyle Schwarber in all of baseball, Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. So whether he's a DH or not, the dude is produced and he's overproduced and he's outperformed his contract. So guess what? You've paid everybody else here. You better pay him because otherwise I don't know what this team is, Pat.
Yeah, I'm going to steal the Zack Baun comparison because that was so apt. Like you're dead on accurate with that. And I don't know where you don't find 45 home run guys just lying around. You either got to give up a lot or you got to pay a lot of money to get them. Like Pete Alonso was on the market this past year. Phillies apparently looked at him for a split second. But one of the reasons why Pete Alonso didn't command the money that he wanted was because apparently he's not a great locker room guy.
Right.
And there's a guy that will hit like 40 home runs. So sure, you can get him, but in July during a losing streak, or in late June when your pitching rotation gives up 5 runs and you get swept, he might be pouting. Whereas you got Kyle Schwarber walking around the locker room trying to like get everybody, loose and feeling good about themselves. Like that it's such a big thing. And I don't think I might be naive with this, but I don't get the sense that Kyle Schwarber wants to leave either. I think he likes Philadelphia. I think he's found a home here. He is very comfortable with Kevin Long. It's one of the reasons why they brought Kevin Long over. Like it's been a reclamation project, but it's worked out big time. And by the way, I was somebody that did not like the Kyle Schwarber signing to begin with, and I was dead wrong about it. Thank God. And I'm with you, man. Like I don't see a lineup with this Phillies team without Kyle Schwarber. It's just no. Like who are they filling in there? They don't have anyone in the minors that are just going to hit 40 home runs.
No, that contract's been a bargain. It's been essentially $20 million a year for a guy that's been hitting 45 home runs a year. It's been unbelievable. All right, let's pivot to the 76ers first round draft pick. So they take VJ Edgecombe. I'm assuming you were believing that was going to be the pick when the pick was coming. It didn't surprise me. It seemed like that Ace Bailey had scared everybody away, except for Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz. When the Jazz picked him, I said, "Oh crap!"
I saw that.
Danny Ainge, like
I saw you. You were panicking.
I was melting down because I'm like, oh my God, like we just fell for it. We fell for the whole thing so he could go to Utah. They were in cahoots. Danny Ainge and the Jazz, that's where they wanted to go. No, Ace Bailey didn't want to go to Utah, but Danny Ainge also said, I don't care. Right? It's I still think I still love to pick Edgecombe. There's something about Ace Bailey that tells me he's not gonna pan out. But the fact that Danny Ainge, who is a very good executive in the NBA, didn't care and took him anyway, definitely doesn't make me feel good.
All right. Let me try to make you feel better about the situation. The Utah Jazz are in a situation right now with that franchise where they can afford to take a risk like Ace Bailey, where if it doesn't pan out, oh well, like they're not contending. The Sixers, though, are looking to contend. So could you even take a risk to draft Ace Bailey 3rd overall when you're in a situation that they are? I mean, like they were only the 3rd overall pick because everybody on their team was basically injured.
Yeah.
The Jazz suck. Like the Jazz are horrible. And the Jazz are not going to contend for a while. So while we look at it, like me and you, and we discussed it before about like Ace Bailey is going to be 22 years old when the Paul George contract expires. You're still going to be in a good spot. The Jazz are looking at it like we can let this kid develop like LaMelo Ball. If he wants to take 20 shots a game, have at it. The Sixers weren't offering him 20 shots a game.
No.
Like I was a little cold on Edgecombe when I found out that I talked to somebody who said like he had a shooting workout that mirrored my shooting workout. He couldn't hit a shot to save his life.
Yep.
But the more I thought about it, they don't need him to hit shots.
No.
They need him to do what the other things that he brings to the table: rebound, spark plug, energy guy, coachable.
The shot will come. The shot will come.
Exactly.
He's 19 years old. The shot will come.
And when you have Embiid and Maxey and George, like you can allow him to develop a shot. Whereas if Ace Bailey comes in, where are the shots coming from? And if he's a volume shooter, I don't think it was a great fit. So I think Danny Ainge took a shot in the dark because he has the luxury of doing so. But I think if the roles are reversed, and I think if Danny Ainge was sitting in Philadelphia at pick 3 with the roster the Sixers have, I don't think he takes Ace Bailey.
Yeah, yesterday I compared it to Kyle Lowry. When he went to Villanova, he couldn't shoot a lick. And I'm not talking about he couldn't. A college 3-point shot. His second and final year at Villanova, he averaged a half of a 3-pointer a game. Now, this was back in 05 and 06, but still. And he didn't make a lot of them. He's a career 32% 3-point shooter in college, right? But he developed because he was raw. He was raw with his shot when he came into the NBA. Everybody knew it, but you know what he had? He was a bulldog that wasn't going to take no for an answer, that played defense, that wasn't scared of anything. This dude reminds me of a more athletic Kyle Lowry. Because Kyle Lowry can't finish like VJ Edgecombe can. He couldn't get to the rim. He doesn't have that kind of athleticism. but they have the same kind of mentality. I feel good about it now. I feel good about the pick now because I think it's perfect for this team. And you're absolutely right. Like Ace Bailey, it's a high risk, high reward. He could end up being a bust, or he could end up being the best player in the league. And Danny Ainge is the culture in Utah. He's trying to set the culture from the front office down, right? You need players to do that. It feels like to me, is Daryl Morey the culture setter in Philadelphia? No, you need to find guys with Maxey. Like, Edgecombe needs to be the guy that partners with Maxey that becomes the new guard in the new guard. When I say guard, not the position, the new guard in Philadelphia. Joel Embiid's not going to be here very long. Joel Embiid's not going to be here in 3 years. He's going to be gone. All right. So
I don't think so.
I do believe that you need guys that are going to be stepping in and saying like, all right, this is the new 76ers. So that's how I feel.
First of all, let me just say that all we did at Doherty was breed bulldogs. All right.
I know,
that's all we bred. But second of all, I agree with you. I think Embiid will be here in 3 years. But I agree with you on every other part of your argument there.
Because they want him here in 3 years, or because he's busted and he's got a contract that's untradeable?
Both. maybe both. Maybe they want him here because he's a 7'2" unicorn, and when he is healthy, he produces. But at that point, you would hope that Maxey is taken over. And when you look at what Edgecombe brings to the table, like the number one thing you hear is coachability, and he's a positive guy and all that. Like that, to your point about culture, that's what you want, right? Yeah. And that's something that we've heard be a deterrent for this team. You know, last year, and I'm the biggest Embiid fan. Like I will defend that dude. I will die on that hill. But last year, when Maxey's calling him out in a team meeting, it's not a good look, right? You're the best player. Edgecombe comes in, and I'm not saying he's going to fix it day one, but if you see a young guy coming in hot, happy, and all that, like we've all worked in places where like there's certain people you want to be around because they're always happy and they're just good vibes, and there's other people you don't. And Edgecombe seems to be a guy that everybody wants to be around because he doesn't take anything for granted. I think you saw that with his interview after getting drafted about, you know, growing up with a generator and stuff. Like he is a culture guy. You know, the PHLY guy, like Devon and the group there did a great interview with Baylor's head coach. And he talked about like, this is the dude, man, this is the guy you want. So if you are looking to contend, but then also draft a kid who will be there and contribute, but not want to demand to be the guy, which appears to be what Ace Bailey wanted, Edgecombe is a perfect fit.
He sure is. Yeah, he said in one of the interviews, I don't remember if it was a press conference or whatever, he said that I'm someone that puts myself last.
Love that.
So like, and Ace Bailey puts himself first. He wants the shots. He wants to do it all. He wants to be the star. He needs to play where he's gonna. And Edgecombe says he's gonna put himself last. He wants to be a point guard, right? Like he wants to be a point guard. He's gonna play. We'll see about McCain and Maxey playing together, but I think Edgecombe and Maxey will be really, really good playing together because Maxey's much better off the ball. He can create. I'm really excited about Edgecombe. The Ace Bailey stuff's just interesting because Danny Ainge came out of nowhere, and said, "Screw you, I'm drafting you anyway." Which I do
wonder the comparison about Kyle Lowry there if they end up bringing him back to kind of mentor him now, because you figure like, look, Lowry's from Philly, obviously. He's not going to cost you that much money. Do you end up bringing him back because of the fact of what you said? Like the comparables are there, and do you kind of just, you know, use Kyle Lowry as a Crash Davis type?
Well, he's Haslam, right? Like Udonis Haslam, they just kept resigning. He's making the veteran minimum, but he was essentially an assistant coach on the bench. Absolutely. Yeah, I love having Kyle Lowry back. Let him transition into retirement by playing this year. All right, Pat, appreciate it, buddy. What do you got going on, man? You playing hockey? You remain concussion free? What's going on?
Yep, have not got concussed. Had 4 games in 4 days. Results were mixed. Not happy with my game right now at all. No, I had a game that just did not go. Like it was one of those games where every shift I was coming off apologizing for something. But didn't get suspended, which is good. Had a little run-in with the refs a couple weeks ago. Didn't get suspended this week, so that's always a positive.
How many games do you play? Is this like a full season like the NHL?
I probably play 90 to 100 games a year.
Good God.
But it's like the only thing I'm not going on hikes, John.
Well, you're not golfing either, because if you know the guys
I'm not
that
golfing.
golf, yeah, and you're playing because like the best golfers are the worst parents because they're on the weekends they're playing golf instead of being with their kids.
Yeah,
So
I'm
at
not
least
going
you're
on
playing
like
late night.
I'm not going AAU runs. They don't want me. So like my options are very limited on what I can do.
Sure.
Pelotons aren't cheap. So it's like, okay, I'll get out there, I'll do a little lap, I'll wave my hat, and then I'll sit on the bench.
All right. Why don't you go to church or something? Go say a couple Hail Marys with our fathers.
But I went to Catholic school from K through college, so I'm good on that front. I'm all right.
You've earned the rest of your life without going. When was the last time you were in church?
Buddy's wedding 7 years ago.
No. Non-wedding, non-baptism or
non-wedding?
like that. When was the last time you went to church, like mass?
Oh, God. I don't think we knew who Obama was. That's how long ago it was. I don't think we knew.
Forgive me, Father, I have sinned. It has been...
It has been
30,
a minute.
37 years since my last confession.
But nothing against it. It's just not my thing,
Well, I mean, you're conditioned. Catholics teach you at a very young age to lie by going in and lying to the Father about your sins.
It's a workout, man. It's like up, down, kneel, up, down. Like I feel like I'm doing the Contra code.
So let me ask you, if you went into a confession like 12 years old, you go into the confession, bless me, Father, for I've sinned. It's been 3 months since my last confession. All right, well, what have you done? Well, I started dealing fentanyl. I have a neighbor who gets it for me on the cheap, and I started dealing fentanyl to make money. I've been doing lines of cocaine. What's the response from the priest when you say that?
I used to go in because it was forced upon us. Like we had to go in, and I used to go in, and I had this down to a science. I would basically make a bunch of stuff up, and then the last thing I said would be, and I lied. So I was like, I'm covered. Because you're right. Like, what am I supposed to say? Like, oh, I stole my dad's Playboys, and
when you were 10, I didn't clean up my room.
Yeah,
I was mean to my mom. You make stuff up.
Yeah, so I would just make stuff up, and then the guy. It was always shady too, because like it's not well lit, and you can kind of tell who the priest is.
That's what I'm saying. Like
exactly.
What do you get? Like if I'm doing 5 Hail Marys because I was mean to my mom, what am I doing for dealing fentanyl?
They're looking at you a little cross-eyed if you come in there and talk about your extracurriculars. Like I used to deal cookies in grade school. I wasn't dealing fentanyl. I was selling my mom's cookies on the side as a side hustle.
Right. Yeah, like if I'm 15 and I'm coveting the neighbor's wife, you know what I mean, and she's committing adultery with me. Like what do you get for that? I don't know.
That's got to be that's got to be 10 Hail Marys at least. And 5 Our Fathers.
All right, just a couple of Catholic kids shooting the bleep on a Friday morning. That's it.
That's it.
What we're doing. All right, Pat. See you, buddy.
All right, bye, Johnny.
There he is, Pat Egan. Coming up, BetParx Parlay of the day. Back in 2 and 2. Don't go anywhere. All right, Ace Hardware Home Services. Well, why would you contact them? Lots of reasons, right? They're bringing helpful to your home. So you have projects, right? Maybe you want something new installed, equipment installation. How about any type of residential maintenance, repair services, electrical, plumbing, heating, cooling? It was 100 degrees a couple days this past week. What happens when your AC stops working? And you're like, man, it has taken forever to cool down the house. Ace Hardware Home Services. They're local, they're serving the community, and they're dedicated to keeping you comfortable in your home. And again, we're talking about local plumbers and techs that handle everything from repairs, seasonal maintenance, installation, upgrades, seasonal maintenance, free estimates on everything that they do, right? And if you need something happens in emergency, after hours, emergency services are available. Visit acehardwarehomeservices.com, acehardwarehomeservices.com. All right, listen, it's the weekend. Friday, we've made it, everybody. What are you doing this weekend? It's not going to be holy hell hot. It's not going to be bad, right? You're going golfing, going running, going swim, whatever you're doing. If you're not doing it because you're in pain, right? Your shoulder, your elbow, your back, You normally like to be more active. You can't because of pain. Well, listen, let's get back to doing what you love to do. Maybe it's biking on the Schuylkill. Like just even going outside and running around with the kids, right? If your body's not cooperating, you got to get with Rothman Orthopedics. So aches and pains, old injuries flaring up after you're active. Don't let your summer go by. Visit rothmanortho.com/PHLY. You can book an appointment, get more information, and get back to doing what you love. Pain-free. Rothman Orthopedics, getting you back to your summer game is their mission. Hoo-ah! There we go. Philly John Marks. It's time for our BetParx Parlay of the day. All right, Tyler, what we got, man?
How'd you do yesterday, by the way?
Well, I liked the under in the game, and then I had, just for the hell of it, put a Schwarber home run in there as well because he had been, it seemed like he was due. But yeah, I felt like it was a Phillies under, and boy, it was the Phillies under, man.
Yeah, I've really been enjoying the strikeout props lately. Especially with there's some of these like younger starters, guys that are making their debuts this year. Like Jacob Mizorowski was the guy I took on Wednesday, and they're low intentionally, right? Because you just don't know. But you've got these guys like Mizorowski and Chase Burns who are coming out here throwing 102, and it's like, yeah, they're going to get a lot of swing and miss. Like they're going to get a lot of swing and miss. And so if you give me 4.5, I'm going to take it. Not a young starter in terms of like how many innings this guy has pitched today, but a young guy still kind of finding his own. I'm going to go to the Rays game today. It's the Rays and Orioles. Ryan Pepio is pitching for the Rays. He's 5.5 is the line for strikeouts at -143. I'm going to take the over. He's gone over that in 4 straight games, including the last time that he faced the Orioles, where he struck them out 11 times in 8 innings. 50% of his starts, 8 out of 16, have gone 6 or more. So it is a little bit of a gamble, but he's been way better in June and like the back portion of May than he was in April and the front portion of May. And Baltimore strikes out about the 6th most time, or it is the 6th most time, about 9 strikeouts per game so far this season. Pretty underwhelming Baltimore offense that we expected to be pretty good. So I'm going to take Ryan Pepio over 5.5 strikeouts today.
I'm actually going to take the Phillies. Mick Abel on the mound. I think you're going to see a lot of what you've seen of Abel recently. Like you had mentioned, young starters that have the strikeout stuff. They just don't last a lot of innings. So you're hoping you get the strikeouts, that low amount of strikeouts in those innings. I think Abel gives you 4 or 5 innings. This is one of these games where the offense has been so bad. Don't they have to break out of it tonight?
You hope.
Yeah, you're right. You do hope. Bryce Elder's going for the Braves. I'll take the Phils tonight on they're slight underdogs in the game. They're +120. So I'll take the Phils on the money line tonight. And that's our BetParx Parlay of the day. Tyler, your thoughts on this series overall? Are going to get some good pitching matchups. You see Schwellenbach and you see Strider.
Yeah.
But, with the Phillies, you always have good starters anyway. So
Strider's been a lot better since the last time the Phillies have seen him. Command's been a little bit better. Strikeout numbers are starting to go back up. His last 7 starts, which basically encompasses all the year, he's got a 4.1 ERA. But over his last 3 starts, he's gone 17 innings and only given up 4 earned runs. The walks had come back down. He walked 4 Mets in the last start, but he's been much better as of late. You know how big, shouldn't say of a fan because he's got Atlanta across the chest, but a respecter, I will say, of Spencer Schwellenbach. I am. Bryce Elder, probably, again, we talk about is there a guy in the series that you got to get to? It's Elder tonight. And I know that Abel is probably the least, obviously the least proven of the Phillies 3 starters. But I think if you're looking for the guy that you got to get to tonight, you got to get to Elder.
Yeah, agreed.
But I get why they're dogs, right? 3 straight games of 1 run. Pitching's been great. Over under, I would imagine, is probably pretty low. But I get why they're dogs tonight.
Yeah, for sure. Overall, I win 2 or 3. Padres are in town next week. That's going to be a good one. We're officially, if you're watching on TV, slide on over to allphly.com. We're in overtime. This is the first time I'm seeing this, but was Max Kepler complaining about Rob Thompson after last night's game or after yesterday's game? So I'm reading from, I just Googled it. And he told Matt Gill, the biggest challenge for me is not playing routinely. That's the biggest challenge. I was told I was going to be the starting left fielder. And then I'm also seeing somewhere else that the right fielder who challenged his manager in front of the team earlier this month, ended the game with one of his most uncompetitive at-bats of the season. Like, listen, Kepler. They told you were going to be your left fielder. That doesn't mean that you're the left fielder no matter what.
Sure.
Right? You're barely batting over 200. And yeah, like you've hit 9 home runs, so you still have plenty of time to turn the season around. But like when you're struggling, they're going to put other people in the lineup, bro. So like, man.
And listen, I get getting into a rhythm is difficult when you are a platoon player, but like he's hitting 209. He has a 383 slug. He's another one of, and it's not just him. It's a long line of players whose OPSs are 700 or worse. He's at 683. And if you're a fan of the OPS plus stat, which 100 is league average, he's at 87. So like, it's not like he's performing all that well. He had a nice little stretch in the early portion of June where he had a hit in like 6 straight games. But since that run, talking about, games 67 through 72 that he's played from June 17th to June 26th, he's 1 hit. And I get it. Like I said, I get it. It's hard to be, it's hard to get into a rhythm when you're not getting everyday at bats. And sure, you probably were brought in and told you were going to be the everyday left fielder. You've underperformed.
Yep. Yeah, wait. Rob Thompson's going to keep putting you out there even though you suck? He's not playing against left-handed pitchers, nor should he at this point. Otto Kemp came up and he's come back down to earth, but what happens when you don't perform? The team looks to change that, which means that, hey, looks like he's going to platoon right now. So you're going to get a viable right-handed bat in there. He's going to play a little bit. He's going to play a little bit less. Like, shut up, Kepler. Oh, my God, dude. You got to be kidding me with this guy.
And the funny thing is, too, Kepler, for a lot of his career, with the exception of last year because of the injuries, Kepler was a pretty solid hitter, lefty-lefty. He, the pop wasn't as great as it was against righties, of course, but, like, average was good, on base was good. Throughout and when I say good, we're talking, my guess would be probably in the 250s, 260 range somewhere, which if that's what he was doing this year, he would play every day. But right now he's hitting 222 against lefties. And I know he's only had 45 at bats against lefties, but he's only hitting 222 and his on base is 265. Now, average wise, he actually has a better average against lefties than he does against righties, but there's no pop against lefties. He has 4 extra base hits in 45 at bats compared to 19 extra base hits in 190 at bats against righties. Like, the pop isn't there against lefties. There's no justification as to why they would play him against lefties.
Screw him. Like, dude, you want to come out and blame for more or less he's saying like, oh, well, I was told I was going to be the everyday left fielder and I'm not getting at bats. Like, screw you, man. Unbelievable. All right, you have a live Philly show today. I'm sure you're going to mention this in your live show. It's coming up at 1:00.
Yeah, 1:00. It'll be talked about. I mean, like, it's a pretty straightforward series they just got through, right? Pitching good, offense bad. Like, how do we get an hour out of that? Well, I think we'll dive deeper into the one thing with the offense that was, I think, important was maybe not in yesterday's game because Hunter Brown was unbelievable, but in the first 2 games they hit a lot of balls hard right at people, and so that's at least a good sign. It doesn't help you sleep at night when your team gives up 5 runs and you get swept. But I do think that that's a part of it. I am going to dive into the Taylor Ward conversation because I do think there's merit to it. I'm not super sold on the guy, but I know a lot of people are, and they look at the 19 home runs. And then we'll start to take a look at this weekend series against the Braves as well.
All right, that's coming up today. Remember, Broad Street Hockey PHLY Flyers podcast live tonight. Chickies and Pete's. 7 p.m. Bernie Perrant will be there. The whole crew will be there. They also have a live show at noon today, right before Tyler. So make sure you check that out. Should be very entertaining. All right, everybody have a great weekend. We have a lot to talk about coming up live on Monday. So we'll talk to you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Slide on over to Anthony. He is live right now. We'll talk to everybody on Monday. See ya.
We all silly like the mayor.